So I want to talk about the day I found out my job didn't need me anymore. Not because I did anything wrong, not because I was bad at what I did, because of a line item on a spreadsheet somewhere, in a meeting I wasn't in, made by people who probably don't even know my name. Budget cuts. That's it. That's the whole reason. And I think that's actually the part that messed with me the most, more than the job loss itself. The complete randomness of it. The fact that my entire financial situation got decided by a decision I had zero say in and zero warning about. I'd been at that job about 3 months working as a cashier. Steady enough, nothing glamorous, but it paid my bills and I genuinely thought I was doing fine there. And then one random Tuesday, I get called in, and in the span of maybe 10 minutes, the entire structure of my life gets rearranged. No warning, no "this might be coming," just "your position's been eliminated due to budget cuts, effective immediately." I remember walking out to my car afterward and just sitting there for a solid 20 minutes, not even crying really, just kind of stunned, replaying the sentence over and over trying to make it feel real. And here's the thing nobody tells you about getting laid off. The first 24 hours almost feel okay. There's this weird numbness, almost like relief, like your brain hasn't caught up to what actually just happened. I remember telling myself, it's fine, I'll have something lined up within a couple weeks. I'm not bad at what I do. This will be a quick bounce back. I actually said that with a straight face. It was maybe day 4 or 5 when it actually hit me, when I opened my banking app and did real math for the first time, and realized exactly how many weeks I had before things got genuinely bad. So I started applying everywhere, obviously. Every job board, every company site, tailoring my resume for each one, doing everything you're supposed to do. And weeks went by with basically nothing. A few automated rejections, a couple of "we've decided to move forward with other candidates" emails that clearly nobody at the company had actually read my application before sending. And the silence started doing something to my head that I wasn't expecting. It wasn't just financial stress anymore. It started feeling like a referendum on whether I was actually worth hiring at all. Like the market itself was quietly telling me something about my value that I didn't want to hear. By around the 3-week mark, the money situation had gotten real enough that I couldn't keep being picky, and that's when I ended up at the retail job. And I want to be clear, there's nothing wrong with retail work. Plenty of people build real careers in it. But for me, in that specific moment, it felt like the ground had opened up and swallowed the version of my life I thought I was building. I went from an office job with actual responsibility to folding shirts and getting yelled at by strangers over return policies I didn't write in the span of about 3 weeks. And the pay was noticeably less, which meant even working full hours, I was barely keeping up with what I'd been making before, let alone getting ahead. Those 3 months were genuinely some of the hardest of my life. And I don't think it was really about the work itself. Retail's exhausting, sure, being on your feet all day, dealing with difficult customers, all of that's real. But what actually broke me down was the mental math running constantly in the background the entire time. This isn't supposed to be my life right now. This is temporary, right? This has to be temporary. While simultaneously watching weeks turn into a full month, then 2 months, with barely a callback from anywhere in my actual field. I remember standing at the register during a dead shift, doing the exact same job I'd done at 17, except now with a few months of real experience under my belt that apparently meant nothing to anyone hiring at that moment, and just feeling this specific kind of shame that's hard to explain unless you've actually been there. Not because retail work is shameful, because it felt like proof that everything I thought I'd built up until that point could just get erased overnight by a decision that had nothing to do with me. And there was this one specific shift, probably about 6 or 7 weeks in, our payment system went down for a few minutes and the customer I had at the time completely lost it and threw spit in my face, where I actually just had to step into the back for a few minutes because I felt like I was going to lose it. Not because anything dramatic happened, just the accumulation of it. Folding the same shirt for the 4th time that hour, thinking about the person who used to have my old job, wondering if they were doing fine, wondering if my old coworkers even remembered I existed yet, and just feeling completely invisible in a way I hadn't felt before. What made it worse, honestly, was the reaction from people around me during that stretch. Some people were genuinely supportive, but there was also this undertone from a few people. Nothing said outright, just little comments, little tones, like the retail job was somehow a downgrade I should be embarrassed about, Like I should be applying harder, hustling more, doing something differently, as if the entire situation was a discipline problem instead of a budget line item that had nothing to do with my actual work. And I started internalizing that for a while, wondering if maybe there was something wrong with me specifically, some flaw everyone else could see that I couldn't. Around the 2.5-month mark is when things started actually turning, slowly, unglamorously. Not some big dramatic breakthrough, just a slow trickle of callbacks starting to come in, a couple of interviews that actually went somewhere, and eventually, right around the 3-month mark, an offer that actually got me back into my field. I remember putting in my 2 weeks at the retail job feeling this weird mix of relief and something almost like guilt, because some of the people I'd worked with there didn't have another option waiting for them. This wasn't a stopgap for them, it was just their job. And I think that's something this whole experience actually taught me that I didn't expect going in. Because before this happened to me, I think I'd absorbed this quiet, unspoken idea that retail or service jobs were kind of a fallback, a lesser-than category of work, something you settle for if you couldn't get something better. And then I spent 3 months doing that exact work, meeting people who'd been doing it for years, some of them supporting families on it, working just as hard if not harder than I ever did at my office job, getting treated by customers in ways that honestly shocked me sometimes, and getting paid a fraction of what I was making before for it. It completely rearranged how I see that kind of work and the people who do it, because I went in looking down on the situation and came out with a genuine respect for people who do that work long term that I just didn't have before. The other thing this whole stretch taught me, and I think this is the part that actually matters most for anyone watching this who's in the middle of their own version of it right now, is how little your job security actually has to do with your actual worth or your actual skill. I kept treating the layoff like a personal referendum, like it said something true about me, when really it was a financial decision made in a room I wasn't in, based on numbers that had nothing to do with my performance. And the retail stretch, as much as it wrecked my confidence in the moment, wasn't actually proof of anything either. It was just a bridge, a temporary and honestly kind of humbling bridge, that had nothing to say about where I was actually headed. I do want to be honest though, this isn't me saying everything happens for a reason, or that this ended up being some blessing in disguise, because I don't fully believe that, and I think that kind of forced positivity can be its own kind of dishonest. It sucked. It was genuinely one of the scarier and more humbling stretches of my life, and if I'd had a choice, I obviously would have picked not going through it at all. But it did teach me some things I don't think I could have learned any other way, mainly about how quickly stability can disappear no matter how well you're doing, and about not building your entire sense of self-worth on top of a job title that a spreadsheet can delete in 10 minutes. What actually helped me get through those 3 months, looking back, wasn't some mindset shift or some productivity hack. It was mostly just letting the timeline be what it was instead of constantly punishing myself for it not moving faster. I stopped checking my email every 20 minutes for rejections and started treating the applications like something I did for an hour a day and then closed the laptop, instead of something looming over every single moment. And weirdly, once I stopped white-knuckling the whole situation, it actually got a little more bearable, even though nothing about the actual circumstances had changed yet. That's it. Thank you for listening to me yapping, and I hope you have a great day. Subscribe if you'd like, and I'll see you in the next one. We will beat the odds.